Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast.
Any man with 2 hands has a fighting chance.
You're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do.
What?
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
What?
I'm not burning with you. Give me a hell yeah.
We are back and better than ever.
We never left.
I know. To them we did, though.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to this special Enhancement Talent EXTRA
Podcast.
where we will be reminiscing on the year that was here towards the new year.
And since I didn't know we were doing this, I have no notes.
This was kind of spur of the moment, I guess.
But that's okay. Most of our podcast is.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll look a bit ahead to the year that will be in 2019.
See what predictions we can make, what we'd like to see.
Yeah, what we'd like to see, what we expect to see, what we already saw, the best and worst.
I'd like to see a lot of smiles, but I expect a lot of tears.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just dive right in this, huh?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll try to not make this one too long, so maybe we can stay somewhat on point a little bit.
Oh, God.
I know, that's a tough task.
At least for me.
So I'm going to start off with just 2018. We'll call it sort of a year in review, but really I'm just going to go through some of the best things and some of the worst things that I was able to jot down and remember and research. And the fun thing will be to see if Chris remembers most of them.
Oh, boy, it's a game.
Yeah, this is a game. So
Let's try.
I'm going to start by telling you that Chris can see my list from here, but he can't probably read it.
Oh, I got my glasses on.
But there's a few lines for best, and then there's a lot of lines for worst.
There was like 3 pages of worst.
So, hey, we'll start off on the good and end on the bad. We'll start
Go
with...
back and forth. One good, one bad, one good, one bad.
Yeah, but then at the end, it'll just be bad.
So it'll be like every other show we watch of wrestling.
So, I'm just going to do it in the order I have it written.
All right.
To make it easiest on myself. So, best of 2018, I've got the emergence of Ronda Rousey following her WrestleMania match, which to me was one of my favorite matches of the year. And really,
Which WrestleMania match?
Well, she's only had one WrestleMania
Oh, that's right.
match.
She is
WrestleMania 34.
Yeah.
Which she tagged with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
I was thinking before when she just appeared.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
A couple years before that.
Right. The thing with this match is that everybody expected this to be a train wreck.
Yes.
And it ended up being, to me, easily the best match on the show, I think.
Yeah. And
There was the triple threat with Balor, Rollins, and Miz for the IC title that was good. But this was the best match of the show to me.
yeah, I could agree with that. Definitely.
And, I remember thinking at the time, this being the best match is not attributed necessarily to Ronda Rousey. It is in parts. It is in a large part because she had to have the capability to do everything that she did and the timing and everything else. But this is what I attributed to Triple H a lot in being able to put a match together. And all 3 other members in that match, the main goal and the only goal was to make sure that Ronda gets over.
Yeah, make sure she looks good. That's it.
Yeah, and in the interactions that there was a lot of male versus female in this match with Triple H and Ronda too, which
Well, it was more him getting beat up by Ronda.
yeah, but if you remember, it started when I think the first thing that those two did against each other was when Triple H pulled her out of the ring from the outside and tripped her and dragged her out, and she fell flat on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that started the everything else.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was.
Then going out of that, Ronda continued to have a lot of good pay-per-view matches with Nia Jax. I wouldn't call her match with Alexa Bliss great, but
No.
she was fine, I guess.
I'm glad to see the
Match
caliber,
with Charlotte's.
the caliber of star that she is. Being that she was well known before she came to WWE.
And she's worked hard.
And she has worked hard, but I'm glad to see her not following Brock Lesnar.
That's what I was going to say, too, is that if she wanted to, she could coast all she wanted.
Yeah, because all she has to do is show up once every 6 months and do a title defense and be done.
Yeah.
But I like how she's not just on pay-per-views, but wrestling regular matches on TV.
Yeah.
And even if she doesn't wrestle, she's there.
Yep. And after this, I have this listed in best, but it can also simultaneously be worse because it was that time Becky Lynch invaded Raw and put Ronda in the armbar backstage and stormed to the ring and got her face broken.
Just before Survivor Series.
And the visual of her exiting through the crowd, bleeding
I thought that was awesome.
profusely, but having the sick grin on her face, essentially.
And the fact that she doesn't remember that. Because she did an interview where she doesn't remember it.
Wow.
Which I mean,
she was concussed.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
But she does not remember all of it. And I thought that was, I'm not going to say awesome, but it was.
I wonder if she's watched it back since then.
Oh, I'm sure she has. But I would have to say that's probably one of the top 2 or 3 moments of the year.
Yeah.
And that
definitely.
Just happened.
Because I remember I was going absolutely crazy watching this. And obviously we didn't know at the time that Becky, how bad the injury was.
Yeah, I thought it was just,
all we saw was, whoa, she's bleeding and she looks badass right now.
Yeah. No one knew that she had busted bones and all that.
Yeah. Then we had, this one feels like a long time ago, but it was this year when Daniel Bryan was cleared to wrestle.
Yeah. It does seem like a long time ago, but yeah, it was just this year.
And at that time, like, the thought of Daniel Bryan wrestling in WWE seemed like it was
never going to happen.
It was never going to happen, and at best, Bryan was going to go somewhere else.
And we've talked about it even before we started doing this podcast at work, that if I remember right, I even told you that he was going to go elsewhere, because he even stated he would.
Yeah, he said that all the time. Like, he said, if I can't wrestle here, I want to wrestle somewhere else because I love wrestling.
And I understand WWE not clearing him because they want, it's their ass on the line.
Yes, if something were to happen to him in the ring on live television, it would not reflect good.
No, I mean, look what, and I hate to bring it up because it's a bad subject, but look at Owen Hart.
Yes.
No, I'm not saying WWE did something
and that
wrong.
Obviously was just a freak accident.
But it made them look bad.
Yes.
Because of that. So, I mean, not saying they did anything wrong, it just made them look bad because they're the company.
Right. But, and, in this instance with, concussions and CTE and everything like that is still, it's very fresh.
Yeah.
And it's in its infancy, I would say, of us really knowing much about it.
Yeah.
Because there's research on it, and there's a lot more we know now than we did 10 years ago even, but there's still so much we don't know.
But if you don't know, and maybe a lot of people don't, the main way to diagnose and, I guess, understand and study CTE is an autopsy. Right, which you can only do after someone's passed. So it's not like they don't... Yeah, they can't see that you have CTE. Yeah, they don't know until you die. Yeah. So they're doing what they can, but they can only do so much with what they're given. Yeah. I mean, unless they have specific organ donors for science that have had head injuries, there's no way to study. Right. Until science advances itself to the point where they have a way to do that procedure while someone is still alive. Which, I mean, I don't know what that entails, so... Yeah, who knows? There's no telling how long, years or decades it could take. Yeah. And right now, we sat by and watched still and waited, hoping Daniel Bryan would come back. But throughout that whole time, Bryan was fighting as hard as he could to come back, which included going to so many doctors. Yeah. And he tells the story is that, he spent
so many hours in hyperbolic chambers and things like that. And they told him, what's the doctor's name? Dr. Amen.
Yes.
Or no, is that the other?
Isn't that?
I think it's someone else.
Isn't that the surgeon?
Yeah, Dr. Amen is the one that Punk sued, but
yeah,
I can't remember the name. But the doctor for that represents WWE said that he sent him to, I think, 4 different doctors, and if all of them cleared him, then they would do the same. And that is what happened, and so he was cleared.
And it was my understanding that he was actually cleared for a while before WWE cleared him.
Yeah, he was cleared by a lot of people before then.
Yeah, and I mean, it was to the point where almost like it's either clear him now or just let him go.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much the line.
And that's like one of the big things too, is that they froze his contract, and that's why he became GM, is because they needed him to work for his contract.
Yeah, and this was a way for him to work his contract and then leave afterwards.
Yeah, and essentially from WWE's standpoint, it's we're not going to let you wrestle, but we also don't want you wrestling somewhere else until your contract is up.
Until your no compete clause, or I think it's a 90-day clause.
Yeah, but even further than that, because you still have to work off the contract you've already agreed to.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, his first match back was the WrestleMania match, teaming with Shane McMahon against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens,
which was an awesome comeback match.
And then, after that is when things took a downslide, and it can transition into the worst things, is that Daniel Bryan was very, very cold until just recently, really, when he turned heel. I mean, with the Big Cass feud and the Miz feud not living up to the potential it had.
And not living up to any potential.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cass feud just made no sense.
There was 7 years of storyline to build with Miz and Daniel Bryan.
And for those that don't know, it goes all the way back to Tough Enough.
Yeah.
Not just NXT.
Right.
It goes all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't watch Raw like we do, where you watch every little video segment like you do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've shown that over the course of the last few months. They've shown everything they went through. But yet, their matches sucked. Their feud ended crappy.
Yeah. And a lot of that was that the build to those matches didn't invest you.
No.
And including randomly getting Brie Bella and Maurice involved in the mixed tag match, which was so unneeded.
Which I could understand if both those teams were in the mixed match challenge. I could understand bringing them out for that. Because it was kind of a cross promotion. But they weren't.
Yeah, that was during that time.
It was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Yeah,
so,
and the overlying point, though, is that Brie and Maurice didn't really play a part in the build to, like, the whole 7 years, really, that you can say that Miz and Bryan have had their feud, and, you could go back to the Talking Smack.
The greatest segment of Talking Smack ever.
When Miz goes off on Bryan, you can go back to NXT, and you can go back to Raw, everywhere in between.
You can go back to Tough Enough when The Miz was Bryan's mentor.
Well, that was Bryan in Tough Enough? Or was that NXT that he did the...
I thought that was Tough Enough because that's
no, because
he was in
season 1 of NXT, Miz was Daniel Bryan's pro.
Okay.
Because it was pros and rookies. That's the whole thing it was.
I thought it started before that, though. But maybe not. Maybe
that's when I first remember it, at least.
Maybe that's when it started, then was season 1.
Because Miz, when he was in Tough Enough, I think he came in seconds because that's when Daniel Puder won.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And
I actually like watching him, too.
That's a whole different topic we can talk about with Daniel Puder and the Kurt Angle incident and everything there.
See, I don't remember much of it. I just remember watching them.
Yeah. But, yeah. So from NXT on, there was a lot to go with. Didn't really capitalize.
But I mean, it's been 7-8 years, and their match showed nothing of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like it was a throw together feud, like the Cash feud.
Yep. And we have Seth Rollins and his Iron Man performance in the Gauntlet match on the Go Home Raw
What,
of
like an hour
Elimination Chamber.
Hour and 11 minutes or some shit. Okay.
And that featured him beating John Cena and Roman Reigns back to back.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's the best individual performance of the year, I will say.
Okay. I can't disagree with that. I can't think of anything that would top it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Without doing any kind of research, but I could agree with that.
Yeah, and if you remember, it was the Go Home Show to Elimination Chamber. They had everyone in the men's Elimination Chamber in a gauntlet match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the whole first 2 hours of Raw.
Yeah.
That match.
It was like most of Raw.
Yeah, 2/3 of it. And Rollins was in it for at least half of that.
Yeah, I know. I
little
want
bit
to
more.
say like an hour and 11 or hour and 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
A crazy amount of time.
I hope that if Rollins ever goes back heel, he'll do like the Jericho thing where he says that he beat The Rock and Steve Austin on the same night.
Oh,
and he can say, I beat John Cena and Roman Reigns in the same night.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, if he goes heel.
Yeah. We had the next thing I have written was Becky Lynch and Charlotte at Evolution. And, obviously the whole emergence of Becky Lynch following her quote-unquote heel turn on Charlotte, which ended up being a babyface turn.
Yeah.
And her getting immensely over in that match that those two had, the last woman standing match.
Yes. See, right, Becky's like Braun Strowman. She's not heel, she's not face, she's her.
Yeah.
She gets over no matter what.
Yep.
No matter if she's supposed to.
And this made her more over than she ever was.
Yeah. And
I always find that funny that turning her heel got her more over as a babyface than they ever could have imagined.
Now, is it just the fact that they turned her heel, or is it the fact of who she turned heel on?
I think it was just that everyone sided with Becky in the Charlotte thing because they felt the same way she did.
And I did too. And for those that don't remember, that's when Charlotte got thrown into her title match and made it a triple threat.
Yep.
And she had no reason to be there. Again, somebody getting something that they don't deserve just because they're new to the show.
Well, for her, it's just because she's Charlotte.
Well, yeah. But she had nothing to prove that she deserved it. Except show up.
I had to throw in something from NXT. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh, yeah.
Not one match. The whole storyline they've done. And it's still ongoing because to me, it's one of the best stories told. Okay. And it's not even finished yet.
And that's probably why none of them are scheduled to be moved up yet.
Yeah, that I've ever seen in wrestling, period.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I know it's been a long feud, and the matches have been great.
I'll trace this out a little bit, is that starts off with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa teaming.
Yeah.
There's the subtle lines of dissent until Tommaso Ciampa does turn on Gargano in a ladder match, it was. Subsequently, in the ladder match, Tommaso Ciampa tears his ACL. He's out for months.
Oh, damn.
And even throughout the time he is gone, there was the match that Gargano had with Andrade Cien Almas, where this was one of the more inventive things that really, it still fueled that rivalry, is that Zelina Vega throws DIY t-shirts at Johnny Gargano during the match, which distracts Gargano for Almas to get the win.
Oh, okay.
And
coming back to what we said on our show about Zelina only interfering very rarely, but making it worth it.
Yeah. And then eventually, when Ciampa comes back, he comes back to cost Johnny Gargano from winning the NXT title, which he still has not won ever, which is part of what they're building to. And Tommaso Ciampa himself ends up winning the title after him and Gargano have their first match. I think it was the first one was an unsanctioned match.
Okay.
And then the second one was a street fight. And both of them were awesome. And just...
So are they going to have Ciampa drop it to Gargano?
I think at the WrestleMania takeover is what I think will happen.
Because right after that's when they do the shake-up, and that's when new people come up.
Here's where it goes even deeper, though, is where... and this really was a lot of improv, because it happened when Aleister Black was injured, and they wrote him off TV by him having a mysterious attacker. Mm-hmm. Sort of like the Stone Cold thing, where who ran over Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And eventually, when Aleister Black comes back, it's revealed that it was Johnny Gargano that did it. Oh. So he turns heel. And right now, him and Ciampa are both heels. And I think it's eventually going to lead to Gargano coming back out on the other side as a babyface, like going through that sort of thing, and eventually coming back on the other end.
Okay.
Because that's what costed him his match against Ciampa in the street, it was a last man standing match. It wasn't a street fight. It was a last man standing match. Because Gargano loses the match because he's not focused on winning. He's focused on punishing Ciampa as much as he can.
Okay.
And he has him handcuffed, and it's just beating the hell out of him. But then he tries to do a running knee on the stage, and Ciampa somehow gets out of or he hits the knee, but his momentum takes him into like some stage equipment, and he hurts his knee. It was kind of like dumb babyface syndrome, but nonetheless. And Ciampa, as he's handcuffed, just manages to roll off the stage onto his feet at 9, and that gives him the win.
Oh, God.
Then Gargano had he had the match won, but his demons got the best of him, and now he goes through this whole thing with his demons, and eventually I assume he'll come back on the other side and win the NXT title as a conquering babyface.
Okay. Well, that'll give him time to do it.
Yeah. So there's your insight onto what happens on NXT.
Okay. Pretty good.
I spent forever on that. We'll have something more lighthearted here. How about this? You remember when Corey Graves and Booker T worked everyone?
Yes.
This was, of course, Booker T on possibly his radio show said that if he ever saw Corey Graves on the streets, that he was going to bust him up.
Yeah, and
that was after Booker ended up losing his spot on commentary.
Yeah, was that to Corey? He lost his spot to Corey?
No, it was. I guess it was Coachman that ended up replacing.
Oh, that's right, because
Corey was already there, but Booker claimed that it was Graves that costed him his job.
Yeah, they had that going for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was one of the funnier things to me, and they just did it to mess with people. They had no other motive but to mess with people.
And they may not have realized it was going to blow up like that either.
No, they didn't, because all the websites were covering it, and they were reporting on it.
And so, of course, they had to mention it on Raw.
Yeah, they never directly did, but they had jokes about it.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear Corey talk about jokes. He did. One time I heard him say something about Booker T specifically.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they just left it as vague as possible.
Yes.
Which was awesome. Use your imagination. And it came out to be they were just messing with everybody.
Yeah.
Good joke. Loved it.
We had Undertaker and Triple H in their last time ever match.
Again.
Yeah.
I'll admit it was good just because the Undertaker's still mobile.
More than you'd think, at least.
Yeah.
Man, it was... they had the singles match, which I loved, and then they had the tag team match, which
I didn't care about.
And Triple H got injured in that match. All sorts of things.
Triple H gets injured in every match.
Yeah, and that's a separate thing, is that Shawn Michaels had a frickin' match in 2018.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's under best or worst.
Honestly, I'd put it under worst.
So would I.
Just not because of the match, but because he had it. Because he did it. He was the only person ever to retire and stay retired.
Yep.
Until that time.
Yep.
And I think he ruined a lot of what people thought about him. Just because he was the only one that stayed retired. He had chance after chance to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And it took, 9 years for him to come back.
Until they threw that Saudi Arabia money at his face.
Yeah, well, I guess if you're getting hundreds of millions of dollars from some country, you might as well throw some at a big star to have him wrestle.
Yeah.
And it better be worth it to ruin his reputation.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of hyperbole to say it ruined his reputation.
Well, okay, not his reputation, but the fact that, I guess, his word of, well, I'm retired.
Which he took pride in, I think.
He did. He took a lot of pride in staying retired.
And I closed the best off with Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series.
Okay, yeah, that was a good match. Really good.
Any other bests you can think of? Before I move on to the doom and gloom.
Well, the only best I could think of also ties into the doom and gloom. So why don't I close out the best of and start the doom and gloom with the same thing?
Go for it.
Thinking that Brock was going to lose. That was
at Crown Jewel to Strowman.
Well, you could either go Crown Jewel
or
all the way back to the Greatest Royal Rumble. And maybe
WrestleMania.
Or WrestleMania.
Was the match with Roman.
Yeah, but they also had the one at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, they had the one after that and the one after that.
But just because you always want Lesnar to lose because he never shows up. He's we've been through it. I'm not going to get into it here. He just his work ethic sucks. He does what he wants, keeps the title hostage, and then you have all these people working for it for nothing. See, to me, that ties in both best of because his matches are good.
Yeah,
usually.
Yeah,
but
when he wants them to be.
Yeah, when he wants them to be. But that's the good part. The bad part is he wins and then takes the title hostage for another 6 months.
So with that,
that closes and opens.
First worsts are greater than wrestling because we did have some passings.
Oh, yes. I didn't know you were going to include those.
Yeah, we had, of course, Vader. Which
will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I believe, this year. Which kind of sucks.
I wish they would have done it earlier,
Well, they were doing it this year because he's from New Jersey.
Right.
They were going to do it last year. But since they were in New Jersey this year, they wanted to wait for his hometown.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, he didn't make it.
Vader, one of the best, I would say the best big man, really.
Well, I mean, how do you mean big man? Because I see The Undertaker as a big man.
That's true.
You talking about
like a
height-wise or weight-wise?
Like a super heavyweight.
Super heavy. Okay,
we'll say
like a Samoa Joe or Yokozuna or Rikishi.
Yes,
gotcha.
And to me, Vader was the most credible and just
almost
the things he can
resilient because he's been around so long.
Yeah,
he was 62, 63?
Yeah,
he was in the early 60s. But man, that's definitely a bad one because he was great.
Yeah, and we had Brian Christopher passing away far too young.
Which, if you don't know, is Jerry the King Lawler's son. Mm-hmm. You might know him from Too Cool.
Yes. That was unfortunate.
That was horrible.
Obviously he had a lot of demons.
As do most of the wrestlers that pass away.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
We had Bruno Sammartino passed away this year. Yeah. The longest ever reigning WWE
18
champion.
Years or something.
Back in way back when he would wrestle in Madison Square Garden
once a
month, and kept it for over 10 years.
Yeah, which is easy to do when you're only fighting once a month.
Yeah, and it's a different time.
Yeah, definitely. Kayfabe is not like it is now.
Yeah, and I always found Bruno to be one of the more interesting people, just because in the few interviews he's done, for the longest time, he would not associate himself with WWE because of the steroid issues.
Yes.
He did not come back until Triple H convinced him and showed him that, things are better now, it's different, and eventually he let them induct him into the Hall of Fame. And, coming from a foreign land into America, he lived in my hometown of Pittsburgh, which draws me to him a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
maybe that's why, we live in North Carolina and I'm drawn to the Hardys.
Yeah. So, Yeah, Bruno, unfortunate. He was a bit older. I can't remember exactly how old,
but at least he made it to be inducted.
Yeah,
he was alive to be inducted.
Yeah, and led a very good life, I would say.
Yeah, definitely one of the harder ones to lose.
Yeah,
for the year.
We had someone who I believe was the. I'm not sure if he's the one that broke Bruno's title reign during that time, but I know that he had matches with him, was Nikolai Volkov.
Yes, he actually had a wrestling school in Charlotte. I actually have his autograph.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my mom used to work at an insurance company that he had insurance from.
Oh, wow.
And I actually got his autograph, him and Ric Flair.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the last one I have down here, there were more, but I wrote down a few, but Jim Neidhart was just recently.
Yeah, everybody knows the Anvil, part of the Hart Foundation with Bret Hart.
And Bret's the only one left in the Hart Foundation now.
Yeah, British Bulldog's been gone. Jim's gone. He's left. And it sucks that he's not around in any capacity.
Yeah.
I understand that he's got his issues with WWE. Or did.
Well, he does stuff with them now.
I mean, he does like ambassador type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't make like TV appearances very often.
No, they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they're in Alberta, Canada,
yeah,
close to him, he might.
Yeah.
But there's really no reason for him to, unless maybe he comes in with Natalya for something.
Mm-hmm.
Being hard.
Which he has a few times.
Yeah, which is fine. I get that.
Yeah.
Show your support. You are a legend in the company.
Yeah.
No matter about the Montreal Screwjob, he's a legend.
Right.
Yeah, and he always will be.
It's good that at least they are on working terms now.
Yeah, because I used to have a pair of his glasses too.
Yeah, did he give you one in the front row?
No, I bought mine from the concession area.
And last terribly sad one is, of course, Roman Reigns announced that he has leukemia during this year and had to relinquish the Universal title and step away from wrestling.
I haven't made it known on here, but that's what my uncle died from just last month, was leukemia. So that kind of hit home for me.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I didn't say anything on here, but that definitely one of the worst ones of the year. And he didn't. I mean, it's not that he passed away; it's just the fact that it's back.
Yeah.
And it may not go away.
Yeah. And we don't know how severe it is. We don't know.
Exactly. We don't know anything.
We don't really know anything.
Is it legit?
I mean, I'm 100% certain it is.
I'm sure it is. I am 100% sure it is. But think about
complete tinfoil hat conspiracy theories that people on the internet do say.
But you're telling me that it hasn't stuff like that hasn't happened in WWE? But think about it, the way he...
Maybe they could do that 50 years ago.
And what they should do is just, if he's able to come back, at the time he's able to, don't say nothing.
I agree.
Let him come back and do just a little interview or something and go off on somebody.
Yeah.
And that could be his comeback.
Yeah.
But
I agree. That's one of the things I didn't like about when they brought Daniel Bryan back, is they announced it.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. Just let it be a surprise.
Yeah. And, really prayers for Roman.
Yeah, thoughts go out to him and his family, of course.
Hopefully 2019 is a good year for him. I don't want to put any expectation on whether he comes back or whether he doesn't. I just hope he's in good health.
I mean, of course we'd like him to come back safe and healthy. I'm not going to say yes he will or no he won't, because we don't know. We can just hope for the best and hope he does make it and come back quick.
Yeah. Very, very hopeful. He talked about when he first was diagnosed 10 years prior.
Yeah.
He didn't have a job. He was just pretty much forced to retire from his football career.
Yeah.
And he was homeless, he said. He had a kid on the way.
Yeah.
And if he beat it then when everything was against him, then who's to say he's not strong enough now to
and of course, and that all depends, of course, if it's the same, if it is mutated.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, he did beat it before.
Yeah.
His body is, I'm not going to say used to it, but his body knows how to react because he's been through it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the treatments won't be so harsh on him like it is a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because he's been through it before.
Right.
So let's just hope they can get it knocked back into remission and he can get back on stage where he belongs.
Very hopeful. 2018 did see the, not at the same time, but it saw the firings of both Enzo and Cass.
And at first, I enjoyed watching them when they first debuted from NXT.
They were different.
And Enzo was just annoying after a while. He just got annoying.
Yeah.
And
they ran with that and turned him heel.
Yeah, and I'm not going to miss either one of them. I've almost forgotten who they are now.
And Enzo recently, just at Survivor Series, decided to try to get... He was in the crowd at Survivor Series, and probably drunk or something, is standing on his chair, yelling and cutting a promo.
Mm-hmm.
And, Cass, of course, just had a lot of personal issues at that time. There's a lot of rumors. We don't know what was true or what was not, but, there was stories that he had drinking problems and attitude problems. And
got booted off the tour, the UK tour.
There was the bus. Yeah. And there was the one where when during the Daniel Bryan feud where he brought out like the little person Daniel Bryan and like beat him up, and that like the story was then that he felt like the plan was for him to give the dude one big boot and that would be it.
Yeah.
And Cass felt like he should beat him down more after that.
Yeah.
And the story goes that he went directly to Vince McMahon and pled his case. And Vince said, no, this is how you're going to do it. I appreciate your input, but this is how we're going to do it. And Cass did it his way anyway.
Yeah.
And that got him a lot more heat.
He did a lot of stuff.
A lot of little things that garnered into more things.
Yeah. I mean, he did a lot that he shouldn't have, that he knew was wrong.
Yeah.
But he did it anyway.
And that's something he said, too, is that, if he doesn't resent them and he says that, he should have been fired. Yeah, which is a good attitude, and maybe he'll be back someday.
And because of that, I guarantee you he will be back at some point in time. Unless he gives up wrestling totally. Yeah. And he just does something else with his life. He will come back.
Being 7 feet tall will help him.
There's only so much you can do at 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
You can play basketball, you could wrestle, or I don't know what.
Yeah. The Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns storyline I have among the worst.
Not among the worst. That is the worst of the year.
I mean, we all remember going into WrestleMania of 2018.
We all thought he was going to win.
Everyone was certain Roman Reigns was going to win.
But at that time, though, it was also clear that Brock Lesnar's contract was supposed to be up the day after.
That's what everyone thought.
That's what they were telling everybody.
Yeah.
So you can't blame people for...
No, you can't, but... Then it goes into, well, we're going to swerve.
Yeah, and okay.
We're going to give you exactly what you don't expect.
Great swerve. I will give them that. Nobody saw it coming. You blindsided everybody.
Yeah, but what did it really accomplish?
What they should have done is just let it play out at the greatest Royal Rumble a few weeks after Mania.
Yeah.
And let Reigns win and be done with it.
After that, I remember a lot of people saying, the reason they did it was... so that they could have a positive crowd reaction in the greatest Royal Rumble because Saudi Arabians will cheer Roman Reigns. And my thought was, I don't think that they really care about that.
I don't think they did because you had people on their cell phones. Yeah. And I don't mean videotaping. I mean playing Candy Crush or something.
Yeah. And my thought when Roman lost at Mania was, I was certain he'd lose at the greatest Royal Rumble too, because why would that? It just didn't make sense.
But technically, he did win at the greatest Royal Rumble. Technically,
yeah, he should have.
Technically, I guess the ref said Brock won. Yeah. But in reality, he did win. His feet did. Unless you look close, his feet were on the apron
Yeah,
on
but
the
then
floor.
they do come down onto the floor.
Yeah.
Before, like, Lesnar's on the mesh
Mhm.
of the steel, but
Yeah.
he's on his back.
But, I mean, technically, in reality, yes.
Yeah.
Roman should have won. And that would have made the rest of the year go by so well.
2018 also saw the return of Dr. Shelby. He was back in counseling action with Bayley and Sasha Banks. This lasted 2 weeks
Yeah.
after months of
Back and
building
forth,
to
and-
the Bayley and Sasha feud or heel turn. It seems like we were finally going in that direction, but then instead, no, we're going to do counseling, and then you guys are going to come back a team.
But it kind of sets it up for what has been announced with the women's division.
Yes. We had Brie Bella knocking Liv Morgan out cold.
I thought that was one of the better parts of the year.
Oh,
I wouldn't put that on the list of being one of the worst.
it was
an
one of the
X.
worst botches.
It was a bad botch, but botches happen. Accidents happen. You're in a full contact sport. I mean, really. That's like football. Are you going to blame everybody? Blame some defensive man for hurting a running back? No, it's part of the game.
Yeah, I remember covering this, and
Yeah, we covered it.
and my whole point was that it wasn't so much what happened and in the moment, it was more so afterward that they let Liv Morgan continue to wrestle when she was unconscious, and then
The
probably
fact that
concussed.
Brie had to drag her to her corner for Liv to tag.
And she had to turn her over to cover her, and she was turning over her limp body to cover her, which can't be safe immediately
And I'm sure
after
she didn't
that.
kick out. I'm sure Brie pulled up.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I mean, I don't think it should be on this list, but I do agree it could have been a bad. I can see why you put it there.
I just have the B team written here.
Yeah, that's enough said.
That's all we have to say.
They were great.
Them winning the tag team titles.
Yeah. I loved them as the Miz Taraj. They were awesome.
They were fun.
They were great. They were fun. Now, they're too much of a joke.
Yeah. We had Shane McMahon winning a tournament that he was not in to be crowned the best in the world.
1/3 best in the world. If you were the Miz. Yeah, that was stupid.
This was so out of nowhere.
I get why they did it because now we're seeing it play.
Now it does actually have a reason.
But as of the
when
time
it happens,
there was no point.
When it happened, it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen.
I mean, at the time, the rumor when it happened was the Miz and Shane were supposed to turn.
Yeah.
So Shane would go heel and the Miz would go face.
Yep.
Well, now we see how it's playing out going into the tag team. So I understand it now.
Yeah. We had what I'm calling, well, we'll go here. Carmella as the SmackDown Women's Champion.
I didn't hate it because it was something different.
But the point after this is the destruction of Asuka, which coincided with Carmella's championship reign.
Yeah, I mean,
when Carmella beat Asuka twice.
Yeah.
One with the assist of a returning James Ellsworth.
Yeah.
He who we do not speak of any longer.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with Ellsworth.
Allegedly.
I agree. They kind of ruined Asuka in that moment.
And now they've built her back up.
Yeah, they're trying to build her back up, but they've already ruined it.
Yeah.
I disagree with Carmella having the title being on that list. Because it was something different. I'm tired of seeing
But her matches sucked.
They did. And I agree. But at the same time, I like seeing some of the underdogs and the people that aren't expected to win.
And I like Carmella now. But
now that she's with R-Truth.
Yeah, but she wasn't ready for this.
No, she got it too soon.
Yeah.
Now, if she got it now, I think it'd be better. Her matches are better now.
I still don't think it's her spots. Like, I think that even back then, Carmella's heel act, it had a place.
Yeah.
I just don't really think that place should have been champion.
Now, do you think they should have a mid-card title for the women? Not
right
one
now.
on each show, but just one in general for co-brand.
Not right now. There's not enough.
No.
There's not enough time. There's not enough people.
They have enough people. They've got enough women on the roster.
Yeah.
Because you can't have 12 women on each show going after the one title. There's no point.
Yeah, I just think if you introduce it, it's going to get completely lost.
So what about what they're getting ready to do?
In the time. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't think they can sustain 3 titles.
I guess we can't announce it. We did just do it on our show, so we can't announce what's going to happen here about the titles.
Well, we'll do that in the predictions for 2019.
Okay. It's not really a prediction. It's already been announced.
Yeah, but as far as who will win the women's tag titles and all that. Where was I at? This was at the very beginning of the year at the Royal Rumble when Dolph Ziggler returned after
quitting.
After he relinquished the United States title by leaving it in the ring, and there was this mysterious, why did he do that?
Yeah.
What's his motivation? And instead of anything interesting, he entered the Royal Rumble at number 30, was in it for no more than 5 minutes before being eliminated, and that was his grand return. That was the plan he had all along.
Yes, I'm looking at your list now for the first time, and I'm not seeing what I'm looking for.
Well, we'll get to it at the end. You can add whatever you need.
Oh, no, I was just seeing if you had it covered or not.
All right, we'll see. There was Raw 25 sucking.
Yeah, especially if you were in the damn
in the Manhattan Center.
The Manhattan Center, where you had one match and then a strange ass interview or segment by Undertaker.
And then you got to watch what they were doing at the Barclays Center.
Yeah, then you get to sit there and watch on a not even a Titantron.
I would have been
just a screen.
I would have been so pissed.
I would have wanted my money back and asked if I could get a seat at the Barclays Center instead.
Yeah, that was kind of the appeal of it, was that the Manhattan Center tickets were much cheaper,
and that's where Raw originated.
Yeah, and in theory, it's a cool idea
on paper, yeah,
and I'm sure they made a lot of money off of it.
But I'm sure, but how much did they have to refund?
But they also had a lot of people chanting refund,
and they got refunds. Some people did.
I doubt it.
they got reimbursed somehow.
Maybe
merchandise or something. But they got away somehow.
I have Saudi Arabia.
Enough said.
Yeah.
I don't care if we ever go back over there.
Well, we'll talk about that in the 2019 predictions.
Yeah.
Just the controversy that surrounded Crown Jewel after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Yes. And the fact that, two of your top stars backed out of it should tell you something.
Yeah, and they still went ahead. Bobby Lashley's sisters.
Stupid ass segment.
If you remember, he had the sit-down interview with Renee Young.
Yeah.
This is shortly after he debuted, and we were looking for something that really, he didn't have many interview segments or promos or anything to really delve into his character.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this dry, boring, stupid interview with Renee Young, and he keeps talking about his sisters. Yeah. And there was just the end where he dead stares into the camera, and he's just like, I just want to tell all 3 of my sisters I love you.
Yeah, it's like, come on, give me a break. Get the hell out of here.
And that, of course, led to the Sami Zayn segment.
Yes.
Which was hilariously awful.
Yeah, it was horrible, but it was funny.
And they managed to not only make everyone there hate it, but then they've probably offended transsexuals or something like that too.
I'm sure.
So they did everything wrong.
That's one thing you don't know. You haven't seen.
What's that?
A transgender superstar.
No. Maybe someday.
No, I'm just thinking, the way the times are of the world right now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
I'm sure there will be.
Unless you consider China. And I'm not saying she was. I'm just saying she was built like a damn brick shit house.
And she had a penis.
That was detachable. According to X-Pac.
Oh, let's see. The Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens storyline.
The only thing those two I love about each other is when Braun Strowman runs the outside, because Kevin can sell that shoulder tackle like crazy.
Braun tormented this poor man.
It
flipped his car over.
That was kind of cool.
If they shoved him over in a porta potty.
Yeah, duct taped him in and then
that was the closing segment to a Raw in 2018.
That was the end of KO's career for a while.
Yeah, so
until he quit and came back the next week.
look at that. That's the next thing I've written.
Oh, shit.
Kevin Owens quitting and coming back the next week.
That's what I was looking for, see if you had on the list.
And, of course, after that, he ended up being injured and had to take time away. But the original reason that they had for him coming back was that Corbin, the general manager, promised that he could do whatever he wanted to anyone with no repercussion.
Yeah, so basically he gave him a blank check to do whatever he wants.
And they did nothing with that.
No, that was
There was no payoff.
At least not for Owens.
2018 saw a Hell in a Cell match that ended without a winner. Do you remember that one?
Hell in a Cell match with no winner.
The Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns match.
Oh, yeah, because Brock came down and interfered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Roman and Braun laid on the ground for 10 minutes.
Yeah, while everybody was fighting around the ring.
That Dean and Dolph were fighting on top of the cell.
And they stayed up there for 2 years.
Yeah. How about this one? Kane had a world title match in 2018.
I don't think that should be on the list of worst of the year.
It was at the time. It was at the time. Because I love Kane, but he was... when he came back and did the stuff with Daniel Bryan, that was a lot of fun. But when he came back and was inserted into the feud with Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, and they had the triple threat match.
Yeah, that was just retarded. I mean, he spent the whole match on the outside on the floor.
Yeah, and he was just there to eat the pin in the end.
Yeah, which is fine. He did his job. He made everybody look good.
I would argue you could have done that with someone else, but
But at the same time, he's a big guy, and so were the other two.
This is debatable on best and worst, but I put it in worst.
Okay.
Braun Strowman and a child were tag team champions.
I think that's the best. That should be in the best because
I thought in a vacuum it was fun, but overall it kind of killed the tag team division because
because the tag team division had nothing going for it.
That's true. It was already dead.
That's why.
But if you remember, this prior to that was when Braun Strowman entered a tag team battle royal on his own
and won
and eliminated every single tag team and won.
Yeah.
And then he didn't have a partner, so he chose a kid out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Nicholas. And then
10-year-old Nicholas.
And then the next night they relinquished the title because Braun had just realized that Nicholas has school.
Yeah.
And he can't keep up with the schedule.
But, I mean, for what it was, I thought it was awesome.
I thought it was fun.
It was fun. It was kind of cool they used the referee's son.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, that's who Nicholas is. He was the referee's son.
I can't remember which one. It might
John.
have been John Cone.
Yeah.
That's right.
The one that was in the ring when the ring collapsed.
Yeah, and he fell out of the ring.
And he bounced.
Yeah, that was...
That should be on the best of.
Was that in 2018, though?
Yeah. I think that was earlier in the year.
That was Braun Strowman and Big Show.
Was it Big Show? Okay, then that might have been in
I think it was 2017.
Might have been the end of 17 then.
Yeah.
But it happens every year.
We had Backlash, the worst pay-per-view show possibly ever.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
They had the one opening match with Seth Rollins and Miz that was good, but after that, it was downhill from there. It had I think it was Carmella versus Charlotte in the rematch.
Yeah.
And that was terrible. And you had Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns was the main event, and Samoa Joe did nothing but chin locks.
Yeah, that was a bad pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They should just scrap that from the records.
We have, I believe this was Extreme Rules. I don't have it written down, but the countdown clock with Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins in their Iron Man match. When the crowd would continuously count down with the clock every minute to like it was a Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Count down until the next cage
opens. And then eventually, WWE caught wind and they took the clock off.
Yeah.
Which made it even worse.
Yeah.
Because then they just kept doing it at, I don't know if they did it at random times. I think the reports I remember seeing were that people pulled up the show on the network and that had the clock on it, so they just counted down from there.
That's funny.
How about this? The we'll start with this, and then I'll end on the other one. We had the Dean Ambrose heel turn, which started off as one of the best. Now it's in the dumps.
Okay, yeah. Now that you explained it, yes. Because him turning was great.
That was awesome.
The way he did it was better. Fast forward a month, who gives a shit? Nothing's going on. Their matches, honestly, the Rollins-Ambrose matches suck. Or at least the one.
Well, they only had the one. Yeah. Like, they've had good matches back in 2014.
If you watch Tribute to the Troops, you'll see another one.
Oh, okay.
But that's part of the co-brand tag match.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to say that they all sucked, really, but the singles matches suck.
The turn took a turn for the worst when... really, the killing point to me was when Ambrose did the promo where he's getting injections because he's a germaphobe now and he doesn't want any diseases from anyone.
How are you going to sit there and be a germaphobe at the flip of a switch?
Yeah.
It's like, really?
It was never part of his character.
If you were going to pull that out...
At least when Daniel Bryan turned heel and he had like the whole thing about the environment, like that was authentic. At least
because it's true.
Yeah. Like we don't know anything about Dean Ambrose being a germaphobe.
No, but we know Daniel Bryan is a tree hugger. I'm not saying that to be rude or mean. I'm just an environmentalist, pro-environment crap. I'm a tree hugger.
Yeah. I'll close on something I'll guarantee you won't remember until I say it.
Well, probably, because I won't know what it is till you say it.
No, I'm saying you will have forgotten that this existed until I speak it back into existence.
All right, speak it.
We had the SmackDown Top 10 list.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Was that 18?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Along with the on-screen graphics that appeared during SmackDown where the words that everyone was saying would pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
And most famously, the Usos had a promo where, they went through a bunch of stuff and they would say lockdown and then a cell door closing graphic appeared on the screen.
Yeah.
This is among the worst.
Yes, I would definitely agree.
And the SmackDown Top 10 list, which was used once, and after that, it was kind of used to try to start a storyline with Randy Orton, but then Randy Orton was just like, I don't care about the top 10 list. And then everyone else was like, oh, well.
Well, who cares?
We don't care about the top 10 list.
I mean, it did nothing. It did no good. There was no point. So, I mean... And you know what's sad? That came on Daniel Bryan's watch.
Yeah, he was GM.
Yeah. And what you did forget, I think, on the good side was Paige as GM.
Yeah, Paige was very good as GM.
I thought she actually was a fair GM. She didn't really take sides.
Yeah.
She might have verbally took sides, but in her actions, it was down the middle. And the fact that she's been relegated to a pre-show panelist...
Yeah.
Just fire my ass. Just fire me and let me move on because I'm not going to sit there and be seen on TV once a month for an hour.
Yeah.
And be involved in stupid people with stupid crap.
At least she's still getting paid.
Yeah, put her on commentary.
I don't really feel like she'd work on commentary.
You won't know till you try.
She's a good on-screen character, but I don't think commentary is her thing.
We'll give her something on screen.
Yeah, you can do
on a weekly basis or something like a valet, like for Absolution.
Yeah,
with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. She could valet them. Now that she's not GM, she can back them.
There is a role for her.
There's something besides a damn pre-show panelist.
Yeah.
That's a slap in the face. I understand why Booker T's there. He's a legend. You know, he served his time.
Jerry Lawler.
Even Renee Young, she's always on there. What's that other guy? Bloomberg. Andy Bloomberg.
Do you mean Peter Rosenberg?
Bloomberg, whatever the hell he is. Yeah, that goofy looking fool.
Yeah,
where the hell? He's not even a wrestler.
Yeah, he's a podcast host.
Well, so are we. Why aren't we there?
I guess we're not good enough.
Exactly. See, he needs to be a superstar. David Otunga at least was a superstar for 5 minutes. He may have a Harvard degree and was married to Jennifer Hudson, but at least he was a superstar for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Married and divorced.
Hey, I don't care. I'm just putting it out there. He was married to her.
Next, if I can speak, MVP. Who is your MVP of the year 2018?
Male or female or both?
Just
Doesn't matter.
Just both. Overall
Overall.
MVP.
I'm thinking you go first.
All right.
For you at home, I didn't know he was asking this
I know.
to me. I mean, he just...
Well, you've had a couple, hours.
Well, yeah, but... I mean,
but you did not have time to research.
Yeah, I didn't have time to research or actually sit and think about it.
Yeah, so...
You go first while I think real quick on a wrong answer.
So, my number one is... And this is a hard thing to choose, but for me... Whoever the MVP is someone that has done it throughout the whole year, not just a portion. And to me, that's Seth Rollins.
Wow.
And
okay, that's similar to what I was thinking.
And he started the year very hot with the IC title open challenges and having the great matches on Raw week after week.
Yeah.
And he didn't keep that same momentum, but he was always in something good, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Other than this Dean Ambrose match recently.
And I'd have to go with AJ Styles.
That's fair.
His matches are always on point. His matches do not.
I mean, he was WWE champion for almost the entire year.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's who I would have to say. I mean, obviously he wasn't MVP at the end of the year because he didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
But that's just this 1 month.
Yeah, and the critique against him, I guess, would be that, he wasn't ever really the main event of his title defenses on pay-per-view. And
okay. But, I mean, just overall, to me, he would be the MVP, I guess.
Yeah, and just to throw a couple other names out there, Becky Lynch, to me, is up there, but...
John Cone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Becky. I mean,
Becky is up there because from August on, she is the MVP.
Yes. Okay.
But everything before that,
somebody else.
Blah, blah, blah. She's just there.
I'm just glad you didn't name Rousey.
I was about to name Rousey.
She is not an MVP.
She's up there for me.
Okay. I mean, personal.
I don't think she's top. I gave it to Seth Rollins.
I'd put her in the top 10 of 11. I'd put her somewhere in the top 10.
I think she's top 5 to me. I think Rollins, AJ,
now if you ask
Becky, and Ronda.
If you ask me next year, I might agree. After she's done a little more.
Yeah.
But your Seth Rollins, my AJ Styles picks, they're consistently there week after week performing.
Right.
It's not, well, I'm here, but I'm only here to walk to the ring and distract you, and then I'm going to turn around and leave. Or I'm going to walk to the ring and be in your corner, but I'm not going to fight.
Yeah.
No, like you said, it's a full year kind of thing.
Throughout the whole year.
And while she's been here most of the year, I don't consider her even close yet.
Yeah, because they use her. They don't have her wrestle every week.
No,
with good reason. I mean, you don't want to oversaturate her.
Oh, so she's better than everybody else on the roster because you can oversaturate them, but not her.
In a perfect world, you wouldn't really do that with anyone, but
But I mean, I'm just going by what you just said.
It's not because she's better. It's just because
she's more expensive.
No, but she still has a special feeling about her.
That's true. She does. It's her rookie year.
Yeah,
she's still new,
and
she's got that new puppy smell.
Yeah. So I wrote a few matches down for match of the year. We'll go through that. My match of the year is the Becky Lynch versus Charlotte match at Evolution, Last Woman Standing.
That was a damn good match.
Other ones I have written down was Ronda's debut with Kurt Angle against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, the Seth Rollins Gauntlet match, and Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Anything else you can think of off the top of your head in match of the year?
I can't think. That was a damn good match.
Yeah, the Last One Standing match.
Yeah. So I can't really think of anything. I mean, I haven't had time to research.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. And there wasn't... Nothing really stands out like that.
Yeah, not a ton else.
I mean, there was a lot of good matches, but not match of the year or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done this when it comes time for the Slammies. We can do our Slammy predictions.
Trying to think some. I don't think it's up there, but I remember really liking the last man standing match with Nakamura and AJ.
Okay.
Which they had a lot of okay matches, but that to me was the really good one.
Oh, okay. It wasn't bad. I mean, hard to top that last woman standing match, though.
Charlotte and Ronda, I could put up there, but it didn't have a finish, really.
And therefore, I can't call it a true match because it did not have a real finish.
Yeah, and that was on the same show with the Bryan and Lesnar Survivor Series.
Yeah. I don't know. I think just off the top of my head, putting me on the spot, I mean, I'd have to agree with the Charlotte Lynch match.
Yeah, to me, that's... I said at the time that's, in my opinion, the best main roster women's match of all time.
Because I'm just trying to think on Raw as well. There's not a whole lot that sticks out for the best ever. So, yeah, I'd have to agree with you in this case for now.
All right.
Without taking up too much more time.
So, this last part, we'll do briefly predictions going into 2019. We have the announcement of the women's tag team titles coming.
And we have the announcement of John Cena's contractually obligated appearance next week.
Yeah.
On SmackDown, the 1 of 4 for the year.
Yeah, which originally I thought I was going to say that Cena will announce he's going to enter the Royal Rumble.
Until I found the rumors that he's only going to be around for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
He has a new movie filming that he'll be at.
Yeah. So my prediction for the women's tag titles is that Sasha and Bayley do end up being the first ones to win it. Where they do that at, whether it's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Fastlane, Slow Lane, Middle Lane.
No lane.
Side of the road.
Off a bridge.
You remember the pay-per-view that was titled Roadblock End of the Line?
Yes.
That they did once.
Yeah, and it's a good thing they only did it once.
Yeah. God, 2019, man.
Women's tag titles.
Yeah. Who do
you predict?
I just said who I predict.
I wasn't listening.
Sasha and Bayley.
Okay, I was on the phone.
No,
that's a given, though. I mean,
it's scratch, but it's.
I honestly think they're going to give them to them. Just, I mean, right now that's the given team to give it to.
There's not a whole lot else. Anything else in 2019 you think could or should happen?
I don't know. I don't agree with the McMahons being able to run both shows together.
Right.
I'm not saying separate it for Stephanie versus Shane or whoever versus whoever, but just okay, we've got you one permanent on SmackDown, one permanent on Raw. Everybody can intervene and voice their opinion in set matches, but one dedicated in charge person.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
I'm kind of tired of the McMahons in general.
They need to. I mean, at first it was fine because Kurt Angle was doing his thing on Raw. Stephanie wasn't around. Daniel Bryan would do his thing. Shane might be around, but he wouldn't interject that much.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where, oh my God, they've been out of the spotlight for more than 3 months, so they have to come back in and steal it.
Right.
And it's just, they're old. The whole character is old. You can't come out and say last week you're the authority now as the audience.
Yeah.
But yet they're the ones who call the shots.
You're the authority, but we're still the authority.
If I'm the authority, then that means I wear the pants of the show, but they must pick them out because they're still in charge.
Yeah. One of the things the Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman match will happen in 2019. My prediction is that Brock wins and that Braun, once again, does not win the title.
I hope you're wrong. I really do. They need to get the fucking title off of Brock.
And my other prediction will be that Rollins does that at WrestleMania.
I hope not. And don't get me wrong, I think it would be a great match, Rollins and Lesnar. I just don't want to see it at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I don't want Lesnar to hold the title that long.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him drop it to Strowman, who will be on TV to defend it, and then they can set up. You can get a storyline set up with Rollins and Strowman for WrestleMania. You can't do that with somebody who only shows up once a month in the WrestleMania season. You can't have a storyline or set up a storyline with somebody who's never there.
I'm going to go out on a limb on one of these and say we talked on a previous show that Daniel Bryan, shall he still be champion at WrestleMania, which we assume he will be, who could his WrestleMania match be against?
Well, that's
so many.
That's 4 months down the road. I mean, there's so... Now, if you're looking at who right now...
we're predicting.
I mean, who right now I think he would go against? There's so many.
But are you ready for mine?
Honestly, I'd like to see... And you might disagree. I'd like to see Rusev and Daniel Bryan.
No, I wouldn't mind that. But the one I'm going to predict, and this is not what I want...
Okay.
But
it's not what you want. It's just what you think will happen.
What I predict. And
okay.
This could be a little out there. But I'm going to predict that Daniel Bryan goes one-on-one at WrestleMania for the WWE title against a returning Shawn Michaels.
No.
Yeah. He's already had the match. He might as well have another one. And there's story with Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan. Bryan, of course, went to Shawn Michaels wrestling school when he first got into wrestling. You have the story going back to when Michaels cost Bryan the title and Bryan put him in the yes lock on TV.
Okay. I understand it. I do. Now, I was thinking what I'd like to see, and that's where Rusev came in.
Yeah. This is not what I want. And in a vacuum, I'd love this because it'll probably be a great match. Yeah. But I'm going to go out on a limb.
What I'm gonna say for what I think they'll do is it would be a good opportunity for KO
to return and
to come back and win the Rumble.
And they have a lot of
they've got history,
experience with each other, and I'm going through the roster here and trying to think of more predictions to make. I do predict that Becky Lynch will beat Ronda Rousey for the women's title at WrestleMania.
And I'm okay with that. In fact, I'd prefer that, honestly.
And I predict that we're going to go to WrestleMania and have a damn good time.
Well, that's not a prediction. That's a fact.
That's not a prediction. It is a spoiler.
Yeah, that is. It's a spoiler. Because, you know what? Be glad WrestleMania is so long. Because we would do a podcast the night of if we had time.
I'm going to predict that All Elite Wrestling is going to start in 2019. That's not a prediction. But I predict that there is going to be at least a few former or current WWE superstars that make their way over there in 2019.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And that it gains traction.
I wouldn't be surprised. I could see... I mean, think about it. If you have a company, a wrestling promotion, ran by wrestlers, not somebody who just owns it or inherited it, then to me that's a better show because they know what they can do, they know what they can't do, they know what the fans boo and cheer for.
Yeah.
They're in the ring, they know what they're doing and what they should do.
Yep.
People writing a script in an office in Connecticut doesn't know what the hell people in San Francisco want to see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be great. I hope it'll be great.
I'm also going to go... Drew McIntyre will be a world champion in 2019.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd say the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Give them time to, get up because they have to get past the WrestleMania. Maybe SummerSlam. Or even Survivor Series.
Yeah.
But sometime, I could see that next year.
I'd also like if Kevin Owens, when he does come back, if he returns as a babyface. I think we've seen him be heel long enough.
Oh yeah.
I think he could pull off a good babyface.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him in the same category as like R-Truth, comedic babyface, but can't
in a different sort of way.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anything else?
I can't think of anything. Honestly, I wish they cut Corey Graves off of one show. He doesn't need to be on both shows. It makes it really hard when, like Survivor Series, when he's on both shows and he's cheering for both teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have a Raw versus SmackDown show when you've got somebody that's playing both sides.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I kind of hope at next year's Survivor Series that they do something different and not the same tired Raw versus SmackDown.
Well, that's all they're going to do. Because to them, it works. To them.
It just puts storylines on hold and...
Yeah, you've got enemies teaming up. Oh, it's Survivor Series. We're going to forget about that chair shot you gave me to the back of the head last week.
Yeah.
And we're going to team up and we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's stupid.
How about an Undertaker match to close on? I'm sure he'll be at WrestleMania, right?
I expect him to be.
So...
I would hope he would be.
So, who do you think Undertaker's opponent will be?
I'm looking at it as it could be his final match. And I know...
Said that for the last 5 years.
And I know we've said that, but I'm also looking at every year that we go as another year, he's getting older.
Yep.
And the less and less he wrestles, the less and less in shape he is.
Yeah.
He can be strong and fit, but if you don't have that cardio and you're not in the ring doing it, you've got ring rust. You're out of shape.
Yeah.
So being one of his last few matches, I would like to see it with a well-known wrestler.
Well, my prediction is AJ Styles. Because I don't have much basis for that other than...
Just what you want?
Well, it would make sense because AJ is someone that, like, Undertaker doesn't have to be up to speed for him to work with AJ because AJ can just fly around like a madman and make Undertaker look great.
To just call it in the ring and just go at it.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that. But on the flip side, you could have Daniel Bryan.
That could be the...
Versus Undertaker.
For the title, even.
For the title. You know what? That'd be a hell of a match.
Yeah.
And that'd be a nice stipulation, too. A retirement championship match. If he loses, he retires.
Yeah.
And that way, that gives him a reason, if he does lose, to actually call it quits. It actually shuts the door permanently and gives us an answer that he's retired.
Yep.
Not leaving my crap in the ring and then coming back the next year.
Yep.
I think that would be one way to do it. A retirement championship match. You win or you go home. You win or you're fired.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I like either of those scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, both scenarios are great. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Kevin Owens and Undertaker or even a Rusev and Undertaker.
I'm trying to piece it together in my head, but I'm feeling like with AJ, like maybe what we just saw on SmackDown with AJ and Vince could lead into that in some way.
Very possible.
With AJ having the he just wants to prove something, and it
is that time of year where people start calling out the Undertaker.
Yeah,
but they haven't been doing that since the streak is gone. They don't really call him out.
Well, they did it with Cena at the last WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, but it didn't mean nothing.
No,
when you call him out, it doesn't mean nothing with no streak intact.
Yeah,
especially now that he's lost twice.
Yep.
I mean, he should have quit when Lesnar beat him. That should have been the end of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I've been a diehard Taker fan from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way back to when I remember.
And that Lesnar match was just sad.
Yeah.
Because
he
was so beat up.
You watch his matches now, and you go back to like the 80s on this Tuesday in Texas where he tombstone Hulk Hogan into a chair for the title. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's the moment I fell in love with The Undertaker, is when he beat the immortal Hulk Hogan. Which is kind of funny. Why not have Hogan and Undertaker?
Oh, Lord.
Retirement match.
Hulk Hogan has no business in a match.
A retirement match still.
Yeah, but Hogan is retired.
No, he isn't. If he is, why is he back?
When's the last time Hogan had a match?
I don't mean as a match. Sorry, not as a performer. I just mean with the company, be gone. Same with The Undertaker. You lose, be gone.
Hulk Hogan isn't going to be able to do anything.
Well, neither does The Undertaker.
Yeah, but...
Put him in wheelchairs and give him a cane to swing with.
I don't think Hulk Hogan can do a leg drop anymore.
You don't have to. He just has to fall backwards and let his leg fall. I mean, you don't have to lift it up. Just fall backwards.
I have to say, that's one of the worst ideas you've ever had.
Oh, well, I've had worse. I just didn't tell you.
You have your Sting and Undertaker match that you still want to.
I'd love to see it. I know I'll never see it, but I'd love to.
Imagine if that was this year's WrestleMania. And we went.
God. You would have to pick me up off the floor because I'd have to go wipe my ass if I shit myself.
All right.
But
what a note to close on.
Yeah. I don't know. AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, either one of those be good opponents, I think.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Your setup does make sense, though, with AJ.
Yeah.
But either way, I'd be good with.
Well, do we have anything else to really riff on? Anything from the past year or the year leading into?
The only thing that sucks is the next show that we watch is still going to be in 2018. We're doing this, I guess, the last show of the year.
Is it?
We still got Monday Night Raw on New Year's Eve.
Okay, Raw will be New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown will be New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So Raw will be like 4 hours away from the New Year.
Unless, of course, depending on the time zone it's in.
Yeah.
You might be watching it in the New Year.
If you're watching it in Australia, it would be in the New Year.
And with me, I watch it the day after, so it would be New Year's.
Yeah. I typically do too.
But no, I think we've covered pretty much everything on this special podcast episode.
Yeah, we went much longer than I anticipated.
How far did we?
We're in an hour.
Holy
20.
crap! I was expecting like 45 minutes. Oh my god!
So,
yeah, we've been doing.
We did it.
We've had almost a 3.5 hour show today.
Yeah,
between the two.
Yeah, we recorded the last episode before this, so yeah.
Wow!
All in a day's work.
My ass is numb.
All right. Well,
good show. Great year. I mean, okay. Overall, okay year for wrestling.
Yeah.
Not great, not horrible. Just a lot of horrible moments.
Yeah.
And a crap load of horrible Monday Night Raws.
Mm-hmm.
But if this week is any indication, things are going to get better.
Yeah. Very hopeful.
I mean, of course, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks if it will, or if it was just a one-off week. But if the episodes go like this past week, we're going to have a great year.
Well, I'm going to close by saying that 2018, in other significance, had the birth of this podcast.
That's true.
And,
back in the end of August.
Yeah, and I just do want to say that, whatever views we do, whatever numbers we do, whatever non-reviews we have, it wasn't ever about that for me. And, this has just been so much fun to get started.
Yeah.
And
we're not doing it to make money.
And I do just want to say thank you to the people that do listen and those that continue to, and those that stumble on us and watch us once and turn it off.
Don't matter. You listen. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
And
we're just two guys who love wrestling who worked together and got bored.
Yeah. And
that's all it is.
And also thank you, Chris, because, without you agreeing to do this, when you were the first person I asked, and you were the first person that said yes.
Well, there's nobody else to ask. I know who you work with, so I know you don't have very many friends outside of work like me. So, I mean, you had no choice.
Yeah.
If it's not me, it's going to be just you.
Yeah.
And that would just be kind of boring for you as the person doing it and for the listener.
Yeah, at least it made me a lot more comfortable being able to do it with you with me and not just by myself, so it definitely helped.
And that way you don't sound like a creeper talking to yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, this way you got, and I say it all the time, you do the straight up review part. I like to do the outside aspects that I see.
Yeah.
And it brings together the best of both worlds to make a great show.
Yeah. And in 2019, we hope to be doing a lot of the same.
I don't expect much to change. I mean, for our podcast, I like the way things are going.
Yeah.
I like our format that we've got going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think we'll get to video this year.
No.
We're not,
when it's in high demand.
When it's in high demand and we're actually, if we ever do make money on it, great. But it's just something for us to do for fun.
Yeah. And I do hope to be able to grow our audience more in 2019.
Yeah.
Even though that's, like we said, that's not what it's about.
But it'd be nice to have more listeners.
Yeah, and it's one of my goals just to be able to be that's one of my goals in 2019 is to be more consistent with this. We did miss a couple weeks here and there.
But, I mean, stuff comes up in life.
Yeah.
And being that we're not mandated to do this by somebody who's paying us, we can do what we want when we want.
Yeah,
and
that is true.
I had a death in the family, had to be gone.
No, I wasn't talking about that.
You had a football game you had to go to twice. So you had to be gone. Just stuff comes up in life.
Yeah.
This is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
A fun one.
I agree.
But still just a hobby. Yeah. Life comes before the show.
Yeah. And
I'm sure people understand that listening.
Yeah. But we're going to continue growing and continue producing content here.
But please leave us a review, donate something, let us know you're alive. We do drink a lot of Dr. Pepper on the show. If you'd like to send us a gift card to get some.
Yeah. Nonetheless, we'll just close on that. Thank you all. Happy New Year. I hope 2019 is a great year for everyone listening.
It's been a good 4 months. We've been doing this for about 4 months.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun 4 months.
Yeah.
We've had so much that we've talked about on air. And because of this, we've had so much to talk about off air.
Yeah.
That
it's really brought, to me, it just gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah. And, I mean,
sometimes you just need that distraction from everyday life. And, this has brought that for me.
And I'll admit, even to the people at home, sometimes having to take notes watching these shows can be kind of a chore.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to look at, okay, it's not what I'm doing now, it's what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for a show that I have fun doing, and you have fun doing. People have fun listening from what I've heard. I mean, I've only talked to a couple people that have heard it, but they do enjoy it. They like the back and forth that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to keep it going.
Yep. Hopefully throughout 2019 and then going into 2020, man.
Maybe in 2019 I can get a new ending for our show.
Well, until then,
we will wrestle you later.
Goodbye, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.